All right, let's get right into it. Have you ever been in a crowded room and just felt completely disconnected? Like you're on a totally different wavelength? If that sounds familiar, then this is for you. We're going to dive into the psychology of loneliness, but, probably not in the way you've heard it talked about before.
Society has this really simple, kind of lazy story about loneliness. The idea is, if you don't have this massive circle of friends, well, something must be wrong with you, right? You get labeled as broken or antisocial, but what if that whole story is just wrong? What if it's missing the entire point?
So let's start by asking a totally different kind of question. Is that feeling of being an outsider, is it really a flaw? Or could it just be that you're seeing the world with a level of clarity that, frankly, most people just don't have?
And this right here, this is the core idea we're going to unpack. We're going to completely flip the script on what loneliness means. Because, from a psychological standpoint, for a lot of deep thinkers, that disconnected feeling isn't a failure at all. It's actually a natural side effect of having a highly perceptive and observant mind.
Okay, so what does it actually mean to have a perceptive mind like this? Let's break down some of the psychological truths that explain why seeing so clearly can sometimes feel so isolating.
Does this just hit home for you? You're in a conversation, and you can practically see the hidden agendas, the things people aren't saying, all the little social games being played. It's like everyone else is just floating on the surface, and you're down below, seeing all the machinery working underneath it all.
And believe it or not, there's a name for this. It's called the isolation of insight. See, you're not isolated because you're unlikable. You're isolated because your clarity on things can be, well, it can be really unsettling for people. They'd often rather stick with comfortable illusions than face the hard truths you see so easily. And that creates a natural distance.
And this keen perception you have, it doesn't just stay up in your head, does it? Nope, it directly affects how you act. It's not just about what you notice. It's about what you're willing to do, or, more importantly, what you're not willing to do.
The psychological term for this is low social conformity. And look, it's a fantastic trait. It's the engine of independent thought. But it has a social cost. Let's be real. Most social bonding happens over sameness, right? Liking the same things, having the same opinions. So when you consistently choose authenticity over just fitting in, you're essentially stepping outside of that whole bonding game.
So, we've talked about how you see the outside world. Now let's turn inward and look at your own internal wiring. Let's explore why so many of those normal social situations can leave you feeling completely drained instead of energized. I mean, it's really as simple and as profound as this. The reason you feel lonely in a crowd is because the main currency of those interactions, small talk, it just feels hollow to you. It's not you being rude or snobby, your mind is just wired for depth. And what's so fascinating is how your brain's reward system is set up. Things like gossip, drama, fake praise, they don't give you a dopamine hit. They just feel like static, like noise. What really lights up your brain, what gets you engaged, is substance. Talking about big ideas, purpose, meaning. You're not broken, your mind just values truth way more than it values a sense of belonging. And this leads us to a really crucial turning point. For so many people, being alone is terrifying, right? It's an empty space they have to immediately fill with noise and distraction. But for a mind like yours, that same solitude can be transformed from something you fear into your own personal sanctuary. There's a term for this too, high self-integration. It's this rare and powerful state where your sense of you comes from the inside. It's not dependent on likes or praise or what the crowd thinks. And when you don't need that constant external validation to feel whole, well, being alone isn't lonely anymore. It's actually peaceful.
But hey, let's be real for a second. This way of being, it isn't a walk in the park. It comes with its own set of challenges. Having a deep, analytical mind involves certain trade-offs. And you know what? Understanding those trade-offs is the key to navigating this feeling of isolation. This one is such a powerful paradox. Your greatest strengths, your resilience, your self-sufficiency, can actually be the very things that create distance. You're so capable of handling your own stuff, of processing your emotions on your own, that you just do it.
This is called emotional self-reliance. And while it is an incredible strength, human connection often needs a little bit of mutual vulnerability to really thrive. When you're the person who never seems to need help, who never shows cracks, people can start to feel kind of useless around you. They don't know how to connect, and so over time, they might just quietly drift away.
And that self-reliance often comes from a deep fundamental understanding, even if it's not something you consciously think about. You just know that the kind of connection you're really looking for, one built on compatible depth, it's not common. It's not something you're just going to find anywhere. It is by its very nature incredibly rare.
So what if you stopped looking at this as a problem that you need to solve? The sting of loneliness, that ache, it really starts to fade when you can accept that depth and distance are often just two sides of the very same coin.
Okay, so let's tie this all together. The goal here isn't to change who you are. Absolutely not. It's about understanding your own unique operating system and then learning how to master it. It's about transforming that feeling of solitude into your own private sanctuary.
This is the final, most important reframe. You are not missing out on life, you're not on the sidelines, you are in a state of purposeful waiting. You're conserving your energy, not for just anyone, but for the rare few who can actually meet you on your level.
Let's end on a thought that I think captures everything we've talked about. The real fear, it has nothing to do with being by yourself. And that's really it, isn't it? The real fear is the soul-crushing exhaustion that comes from pretending, from being surrounded by superficiality. So your solitude? It isn't a prison. It's your refuge from all of that. It's a sign that you value what's real more than anything else.